Great. Okay, grab a 𝗄. We're going to start with the 𝗄. Great. Okay. We're just going to start a little bit with 𝗄 work. So just playing with the 𝗄 this way, right in the middle, holding the hands. Getting a sense of weight down, elbows heavy, shoulders back. Feel free to move the feet as much as you like. Changing sides. And just keeping that exploration really, and really going deeply, like, what am I doing when I do this movement? What's the point of it? I like one of Musashi's quotes from the Book of Five Rings, and he says, do nothing that's useless. So everything you do should be useful in some way. Now that means I'm constantly training. So you're always training connection, always training grounding, always training balance. But I'm not really training it, it's just kind of happening, and as long as I'm kind of conscious of it, it will just train itself. So that's the great thing about martial practice, because it makes things conscious, which maybe we've took for granted. Moving around, playing with alternating as well. This 𝗄 work's really great for handwork, so just also really exploring this transition with the hands. That's it. That's it. There we go, great. Really simple pattern, but you can really do a lot with it. Yeah. That's it. So there's two aspects you can explore with this kind of 𝗄 work. One of them is what I call the Batten Twirling aspect, which is great. It's all this kind of flowy stuff, which I'm really like throwing up, catching the baton, all this kind of stuff. I'm not really so good at it, but this is a great aspect. It teaches coordination like nothing else will. Hand-eye coordination, totally. Handwork transitions, totally. So this is one aspect. There's a really simple drill you can play with this side, and it's like this. You just roll the 𝗄 over the back of the hand. So you roll it over the back. So you can go two ways. You can go thumb side, that way. Or you can go over the back of the hand, back of the wrist. It goes that way. The key to this is don't try and catch it. Yeah, as soon as I try and catch it, this will happen. We'll go like that. So what I need to do is just open the hand. Goes over, open the hand. Open the hand. Open the hand. So I'm letting the 𝗄 do most of the work. Just play with it. You might find one side's easier than the other.
Try this outside, Michael.
Again? or both sides are difficult. You might just find, or if you're like John, you just do it like nothing. So there we go. Super easy. This is also easy with a lighter baton as well. So yeah, don't worry about dropping it. Okay, do one thing. I do this with the kids a lot, because especially teenagers. Just do this. As long as you've not got a difficult floor, drop the 𝗄. Don't worry about it. So what a lot of people do is like this. I go, I drop, I try and catch it. Don't try and catch it. It's gone. Don't forget about it. So just go like this. It goes like this. If I drop it, I drop it. But I can just like throw the 𝗄 down. I got away. Okay, no problem. I take it and then go again. But don't worry about dropping it. You will drop it. You will also hit yourself in the head a few times. No problem. As long as you don't take your eye out. So keep it slow. Really don't worry. The less I worry about dropping it, the less I drop it. Ooh, there we go.
Okay, Michael, I've got a question. How come John is making it look so easy? I mean, look at the way he's doing it.
I tell you his secret. Practice. He practices a lot. I'm going to show it.
Look at that.
It's a sad life, you know, spend too many hours doing daft things.
John could do it like no one else, so great.
Oh my gosh.
Correct.
Oh, that's awesome.
Around the head. There we go. This is someone making things look easy. Great. Really great. Very nice. Yeah, good. The other one you can do, which is quite nice, is roll it over, but also catch it. Oh, that was a better one. Roll it over, but catch it with the other hand. So I've got the other hand out just in case it goes, but you can also play with this. So you can do this both ways, but just get the feeling that you're just going to let it go. So I've got a kind of catch hand, and don't worry about losing it. You'll start to work off center as well. It will just automatically start to roll off center. But you can do these things really easy. Like if you just make the bodywork a little bit bigger, you can open it out as well. So again, I'm really thinking in terms of going a little bit more towards function now. How useful are these movements? What can I do with them? And how do they feed into the rest of my practice? So what kind of movements do I make when I do taijutsu work that I can see are kind of similar as I do these kind of movements? And how am I using the body in this in a kind of similar way that I would use it as I do these kind of movements? So really just play with the jo in this case. Make the movements big. Make it as hard as you like. Drop the jo a few times.
Questions when I drop it too much. I will start complaining about what I'm doing.
Yeah. If you're dropping it more than you've got it in the hands, then maybe it's a bit of a problem. But there we go, it's gone.
You should see the dents in my wall.
I don't pay for them, so don't send me the bills. Watch your light fittings as well. There we go. Good. Yeah. The main thing is don't hit yourself. That's the worst one. Hit yourself in the back of the head. That's a bad one. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and some of you go into these already, so just start to play with like drawing the jo out a little bit now. So coming out and pressing the jo out. So this is a really different kind of movement for me. Sometimes we go from this just straight into the figure of 8, but this is working at an intermediate stage where I'm really extending the jo out from the body. So I've got a reaching hand, something coming out. And again, functional considerations, really think about whether I'm stretching out, falling away from the system, or whether the system's just dropping down. So again, think about function. We're going to go later in the next class a little bit into a temi work. So get a sense that what you're doing is structurally integral. So it's like go. And it's got now a different purpose of the movement. Obviously, I can do these in a way which is quite nice and flowy. I also want something that's quite functional. And I'm trying to make links within the system. This is also one of the values of play, is it will start to unlock certain areas of the system and make connections between them. And that's ultimately the kind of point of us, especially in this solo training, how to make connections between the weapon work and the body work. And also play with it, rotating a little bit, make it complicated. Change the hand a little bit, make it a bit fast. And in this case, you've got two actions. You've got the reach out and you've got the draw back. So those are two separate actions. So you've got that movement and that movement. This is a really useful action, not only for striking and balancing the body, but also later for grasping. So I take. So I can use that also to take and draw through. Take and draw through. Sometimes we do these actions where we take the gi and then we draw the whole body back and pull it. So sometimes we use these movements. That's it. And again, it's getting more and more into an idea of like whole body movement. So just be conscious of what you're not conscious of, which is tricky. But there are things like, what am I not conscious of right now? It's usually the other hand, or my connection to the ground. I'm lost in the jo. Or it might be something really simple. What am I doing with my breath? Am I breathing? What am I doing? Am I holding the breath? So all this stuff which is unconscious that I've trained myself to do from 0 to now. Try and see if you can make those a bit more conscious. The whole problem with consciousness is that there's a whole lot that's unconscious as I'm being conscious. So the more wider I can make the consciousness, the more bigger, the more broad, the better. The more specific it is, the more kind of troublesome it's going to get you. So this is the problem with lines and systems. They make me conscious of very specific sets, but I might be ignoring a whole load of stuff. So just play with it a little bit. There we go. Yeah, good. Also feel free to play with both hands on the 𝗄. So you can also do this action here. Now we do this action all the time when we do things like 𝗿𝗄𝗃, or we do these kind of blocking movements. So it's not about this, watch it, it's not about, this is why it's really important, it's not about pushing something out. Because if my pattern is to push out as I do it, my pattern for doing these 𝗿𝗄𝗃 movements will also be push out as I do it. And the blocks will be push out as I do it. So I'm trying to retrain the body in a way where it's looking at expansion. And this is about expansion, not about pushing out and striking. So any kind of strike or any kind of impact or any kind of block, it's going to be based on an expansion in the body. Expansion in the body. Expansion in the body. So look at the system like this. Not really about pushing things out. Something else. That's it. And just play the 𝗄 like that. You can do that. And again, think about functional consideration. So think about skis coming to the body or pushes coming to the body or whatever. And I'm just going to kind of work them out. Work them away. Work them away. Work them away. Work them away. Yeah. So start to think a little bit about blocks as well. That's it. Okay, good. That's it. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do some really simple ones. So we did this, I think, last week in the morning classes. For those that weren't there, just think about, again, skis come into the body. So I'm going to use just the head and the knee because the center ones are a bit different. But just have the sense now as you come back, you can have a ski coming towards my knee. I'm just going to roll out to the back side. So you can go both ways, back side, this way. You've got the similar kind of action. So what I don't want to do in this case is this, is like push the hands out the system. So it's really about integrating whole body movement. And you don't need to do this from a position, but just get the feeling that you can draw the body back, expansion. You can also use the back side of the 𝗄, expansion. So you can think about 𝗿𝗄𝗃 blocks. So I can block with two ends of the 𝗄. That's what's great about the 𝗄. You can really use both sides, or you can use every part of the 𝗄. There. So just start with low blocks because these really force me to use the lower body. Move around. Skis are coming in all the way around you to the knees. That's it. Play with starting from a position like a 𝗬𝗵𝗊 or 𝗄𝗵𝗊 like this, or play with having no position at all, just having the 𝗄 in the hand, moving around. Really your choice. That's it. Again, the main thing is that I'm functional. Effective, functional. There we go. Yeah, good. There we go, great. Nice. And just now start to include a few skis in it. So you've got these kind of movements, and then you can just thrust back into it. So just again, just check in that I really want the block to be in a position where I'm very effective again. So that means that I can just move into an attack straight away. So I've got one movement, a block or a set receiving movement, and then thrusting out with it. And that should be like seamless because later I want to make it all together. But just get the sense that what you're doing is really coming into a position where it just facilitates my next movement straight in. And that can be anything. You can also do these moves, ski from the back, but just play with it really. So any block and any strike in response. Just make it 2 movements for now, and then you can really check the position. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so a lot of 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀's system is built around, and this was his real invention from it, is this Kihon stage, which is basically stop-start movement. Now, that's really where we start, and we spend a lot of time there, and we always come back to that level. So we never really abandon it as a practice because it's so useful for us. Now, if I think that I've got it and I abandon that practice, there's a real high risk that I lose one of the main qualities that that practice teaches, which is stillness into motion. So this is the idea that I can really get the body in a point where I can just move into it. Now that really is only really fully trained from stillness. So if I never train stillness, if I constantly do everything in motion, I never really can find that stillness. It's possible, but really, really unlikely. So just get a sense that you're working now the system, but work it from the principle or work it from the reason why we do that kind of training. Yeah, there's a lot of things. It's just to get people in the idea of doing the movement. I can get them doing it robotically. They can train it to other people robotically. I'm not really interested in that kind of thing. So get the sense that what the essence of that teaching is how to get to stillness. That and move. Stillness, move. Stillness, move. But really use that stillness. That's really like essential quality for us. And especially in a Japanese system where nothing's really useless in the system. There's always a reason for something in a Japanese system. There we go. So really find that really clear stillness. Boom. There we go. Oh, that's it. Okay, so Saito Sensei also had this also a system which you also see people teach as well. It's like there's either a 2-second or a 3-second gap between the movements. So I do something like the 31 kata. I go 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2, 3, move. So it's got this kind of inbuilt, and every movement follows the same pattern: 2, 3 seconds, 2, 3 seconds, 2, 3. It's a useful practice, but again, try and find the essence of that teaching, which is really about moving from a position of comfort. So just watch this. I can do these movements, whatever you're doing, and I can do them with like I'm doing stillness, but I'm really restless. The body's still in motion, so it's still trying to find balance. So the essence of that quality is finding the middle of the movement every time. So I'm not interested in the 2-3 second pause. Sometimes I'll take 10 seconds. Sometimes it'll be a minute. But I want to find where is the middle of the movement. Now I'm out, how do I get back to the middle? And then I want to only move when I feel connected, comfortable. Next. No, I'm at the back. There. So I'm really running through the whole system, not in a rational way, like oh the joints and the. I'm just trying to feel the whole body. How do I feel? I want to feel like I'm kind of sitting into an armchair, really comfortable. Boom, but engaged, and then move. So just try this. Work with the 31 kata. Most of you know it, I think. So just these first 3 movements. So it's just here, 1, but only move to the next point when I feel really, really comfortable and confident that I can just move. Now I'm at the back. Find the middle, there, and then coming back. So just those very, very first movements in the 31 kata, just the first 3. But really just make a kind of rule for yourself. If I feel any kind of doubt in the body, like, oh, I don't know if I'm really balanced. If there's a secret doubt, don't go anywhere. Find the position where you have no doubt that I can just move. And it should be like your zoom's kind of frozen. That's the kind of position you want. Totally clear. There we go. Nice. There we go. That's it. Yeah, and if you won't go further in the kata, so you don't have to stick to the 3, just a guide. You want to go further, go further. That's it. Okay, this is a really important point. Don't think about it. So this is where rationality really won't help you at all. So just watch this. I can go like here, and then I go. This is also, I'm checking myself and I'm trying to think through it. Don't think about balance, feel it. So you can only ever feel it. You can't really think about balance. It will always be an image, and it will always be a concept. So I can use images to help me better balance the body, like this water drop, the feeling of draining through the body. But those have to go to the level of sensation immediately. Because if it's not useless. If it's not, it's useless. If it's a story, if it's a concept, and if it's a thought, it's useless. Throw it out. So really get a sense that what you're doing is not, it's not really, I'm not really lost in thought of, and maybe I'm centered. Just go like, dum, center. That. Now I know where the center of the body is, it's there, and then boom, how do I connect that to the ground? Boom, how do I connect that to the body? Boom, how do I connect into the jaw? Boom. And then how do I keep that as I go through? There. 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 So it's really got to go to the level of feeling, but don't think your feelings, feel them directly, which is not so easy. And this is where a principle like centering is not a concept. It's an experience. So the center of the body is also a physical fact in the body. So if you can locate that physical fact and connect it to the principle of gravity, grounding, you'll be most of the way there. As soon as it becomes a thought, becomes a story, it's really useless. Go. There we go. That's it, that's it, that's it. That's it. There we go. Great. Okay, great. So we'll do a little bit of this. So as well as the Bokken stuff, there's like signature movements in terms of the Bokken work, or the simple movements we can do. Bokken's easy. Shomen, Yokomen, ski. Joe's a bit more complex because you've got a lot of ski variations, a lot of striking variations, one-handed variations, hasso variations, and then everything kind of flowing together. So the system, the way that Saito Sensei set the system out in terms of the Suburi sets within sets is really nice, because it gives you a very clear understanding of not only combinations, but the key movements that we can make with the jo. But obviously there's, again, lots of ways to use a jo, because it's just a stick at the end of the day. So you will find a lot of styles that use the jo, or you'll find a lot of martial arts use the jo. Almost every martial art with any kind of history will use a jo in some sense. And they will use it in a totally different way to us. So again, looking at other videos in terms of, the best one is like Jodo. So if you look at Jodo, then they will use the jo in very, very different ways to us. So they will feed through the hands, they'll do these kind of movements. Very, very useful to know, to at least have an idea of how they use the jo. And to know again that it's in contrast to what we do. Not that it's better, worse, good, but it works on different kind of ideas of how to manipulate the jo. So we're just going to go through a little bit of the Suburi work. started with the ski, but just get an idea of just thrusting through and just loosen the ski up. So I'm just going to play with different kinds of skis. You can go into Zengo, but just get an idea of these different kind of skis. Also work with the Suburi. So you got like number 1, coming back, number 2. But just get an idea of all these kind of ski work, all the ski work that we do. Number 3, skis to the rear. Just moving around. Again, really with functionality in mind. What am I doing? What's the point of this movement? What's the target ultimately? What am I hitting as I do it? That's it. That's it. That's it. I just play with ski, different transitions, different positions. There we go. Okay, I'll give you some ideas also you can play with. So there's lots of ski variations, not just front back. There's also different levels. So going to the knee, going to the throw, and then you've got all these different ones where I'm using like the back of the drum this way. So again, just explore a little bit different levels and different sides of the drum. So normally when we do these Ushiro movements like to the rear, but when we actually apply those movements, they're going to come to the front this way. So I use the same idea, but I'm using them in a different way. So just play with different ideas with the ski now. So keep in mind the basic, because that's the foundation that we work from. So that kind of basic front ski, or that basic kaishi, and that basic shiro ski, but just work with them and then see if something else comes out of it. And there's tons of examples in the system that we have of variation in terms of ski work. If you find anything new, just keep working with it. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Whoosh. Nice, that's. And again, every so often come to those blocking movements as well. So come from a position where you're also blocking first, and then see what I've got from there. Go to a block, what have I got? Go to a block, what have I got? And I'm looking really usually for the most efficient movement and the most appropriate. Find a position, what have I got? What can I use? And one of the rules with functionality is it too complex? Can I make it simpler? There we go. And play with different levels, high, low, middle, to the back. There we go. Yeah. Ah, yeah. Good. Nice. Has everyone seen the film Last Samurai? This is the question. Have you seen Last Samurai? Everyone?
Didn't see it.
Last Samurai. You've seen it with Tom Cruise? Yeah, most of you. If you've not, watch this film. It's incredible. There's one scene of it where he gets in a fight, right? And it's an incredible scene because it shows like, this is really the way things are. He goes to the fight, like 3-4 guys surround him. And the fight is like this. And then the film stops, shows Tom Cruise like, oh, after the fight. And then it shows you what actually happened in the fight in slow motion. But this is where Tom Cruise has achieved this like Mushin state that he's been working the whole movie on. And the guy at the beginning told him, you have too many minds, mind in the sword, mind in the body, mind in the hand, mind in the partner. And this is the point where he's actually got it. He's reached the point where he's got like Mushin. And that means like he's acted appropriately without thinking. He's just moved the body. Now, obviously he's gone through this rigorous training process through the whole film, but he's got that point, and the film shows us totally clear that it's not about thinking, that it's about just acting, and then you figure it out what happened later. And then he realized like, oh, I didn't get cut at all, right? So he's killed all these guys, all these enemies, but done it without thinking. The body's just acted appropriately. This is the kind of level you want to get to. Well, that's the ideal, right? But the way to get there is not through thinking about it, which is just the point. So really get to a point where I'm out of this idea where I go like, now what? As soon as I go, now what? In a fight, you've already been hit. So as soon as I go like, what do I do? Bam, you've already been hit. What do I do now? Bam, you've already been hit. And sparring is the best way to get this out of the body, unfortunately. We don't do it in Aikido. We should spar a bit more in Aikido because it takes you totally out of this realm of believing that I can think first and then act. You can't. You can only act and you think about it later. So, but the point of this, you can make everything slow, but I need to have the feeling that what I'm actually training is action, direct action, direct action. And the moment I get lost in thought, I need to go a lot simpler. But this is where the system will really, really help us. Because if I've got 20 𝘄𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗁 or even just 3, I can just work them at a level where I need to move the body directly. Feel the body act, but not thought first. This is where a little bit we get lost in the West because we think we can understand it before we can do it. And it's just not the case. So they come together, but I really need to get to a point where I can just move. And that's really not based in the rational mind. Something else. So just play with it a little bit. Hard to access, but it's actually pretty easy because it's basically your natural state. You just act, you go. That's it. That's it. Just basically like acting decisively. Something comes, you act. There we go. And we tend to think a lot about ourselves in martial practice. And the truth is, it's not really about you. So the more I can get away from myself into acting in with my environment, with my partner, with what they're doing, and not me doing something to them, this is really the realm I need to get to be appropriate. There we go. That's it. That's it. That's it. Got it. And it's something we just slip in and out of. There we go. Nice. Okay, great. Yeah. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Good. Okay, I'm not going to make a distinction now between the strikes, as between 𝗿𝗄𝗄𝐺 and strike, because they're basically the same thing. I either use this side of the 𝗄 or I use this side of the 𝗄. So don't make a big distinction between them. There is one in terms of the movements 𝗿𝗄𝐺 that we call it, and this movement's like a yokomanuchi, like this. But just go with it and just follow it. Just I can strike with this end, or I can strike with this end, this way. But just play with it. So you've got these kind of 𝗿𝗄𝐺, yokomanuchis, 𝗿𝗄𝐺s, all this kind of area. Just explore it. But it's basically striking with one side of the 𝗄 or the other side. Whereas the 𝗬 was striking with the point. All the 𝗬s are striking with the point, and all of the strikes now are striking with generally this part of the 𝗄, or this part of the 𝗄. So just play with it. That's it. That's it. And again, go through blocking positions, maybe a few 𝗬s, but focusing mainly now on strikes. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. And you've got some different variations. Good. There we go. Yeah. Good, Bernie. Nice. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, watch this. Boom! Yeah, get him. There we go. Dum. Okay, so have a target when you do this. Some of you are hitting the lights and the ceilings. Just be careful of the space. Some of you have got people in the room as well. Be careful of them. But this is also why I can't recommend this to you, because if I've not really got full control, it's a bit dangerous. But I've got kids or I've got dogs in the room. You can use them. As long as I'm really careful and I do it very slow, you can use living things. They're really useful for us. And we do this in the dojo when it's safe and we agree. The dog needs to agree to it. So you need to be really friends with the dog, because you can't do it with a stranger's dog. That's not okay. And you can do it with your own kid as long as they agree as well. But if you don't have that, you can use objects around the room. So I've got everything around the room. The room's full of distracting stuff. Now use it to your advantage and use it as a focus point. So when you've got it like a sofa or whatever, really have a sense that I can go in and strike it. Now, some of the objects will be soft, some of them will be hard, some of them will be precious, valuable, worth lots of money. Don't go for those. Take it easy, don't break stuff, but play around with it a little bit. So the 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝘀, chairs make good objects because they've got lots of levels. They've got floors, they've got legs, stools, computer screens. But just get a sense that you can now target it at something. If you've got a totally empty room, I don't think any of you have, you just have to imagine. So just watch your light fittings, don't break anything. If you're outside, you can use trees, it'd be great. Trees are the best for this kind of exercise, but there we go. That's it. Okay, good. Okay, use a similar thing to this 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀 system of this like 2-3 second rule. So what you want to do is fully connect to the object. So what I don't want to do is do it a bit scatty. So it's like this is really like scatty. It's all over the place. So get a sense that what you're doing is I have a target. Connect to it. I really fully connect to it. Give yourself a few seconds. That and then next one. A few seconds and really check the position of the body. So really like move around the space. Something will draw your attention and then go to it. Like really go to it. Fully connect to it. And give yourself really space where you can find that kind of the stillness in the contact. So you really want a position where you're totally switched on. Again, it's play, but it's really serious at the end of the day because I'm going to use this to target live people later. So, and I want really the ability to control myself as I do it. So I want the ability to just be able to stop with like a fraction of an inch or a millimeter above someone's temple. And if I don't take that seriously, I really need to because it's super dangerous. And I've seen so many accidents with the 𝗄 that it's it's play, but it's really serious at the end because you're going to use this later. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. You can also go down to the knee as well, like in the 31. So think of all the movements we've got, all the kata, all these patterns that we've got. Yeah. There we go. Great. Yeah. Whoosh! Oh, I can't go down to the knee. There we go. Good. There we go. Yeah. Good. Great. Okay, good. The next set that we come to is these one-handed movements. So in the kata, so you've got the tomauchi, this one coming through. You've got the katate, gerangaeshi, pulling through, and you've got the hachi no jigaishi, pulling through this way. Just be careful of your ceilings when you do the last one, and be careful of the space around you. But feel free just to include these now in the movements. So coming back, and again, you can use a target. I advise the first few just do them in a space, just do them in open space, really slow. Play with them a little bit. Don't necessarily do them in any order. Include different strikes. That's it. Also, feel free to break them down as well. These are really complex actions, so break them down a little bit, merge them together sometimes. Yeah, good. That's it. Yeah. One hand. Boom. Great. That's it. Okay, I'll show you the main problem I see with these is this idea of that I can flick the wrist out as I do it. So just watch this, especially true in 𝗺𝗵𝗀𝗁, like this. I just focus on this one. This idea that the target's here, and then I then do something like that, and then I flick the arm out to do the movement. This really won't go well if I strike something. Oh, my internet's gone low. So just this, when you do this, really look at the integrity of the system. So it's just a movement where I'm going to arc through that way. But there's no sense in this case that I'm going to flick out as I do it. This will really put the wrist in a very weak position. And if I impact something with it, it will really, really go to the wrist. And the potential is I really break the wrist as I do it. So the best advice I can give on this case to play with it is strike something very lightly first. So just strike something through it. The problem with doing it lightly is that I think I can get away with things that I actually can't in terms of physics of the body and in terms of the mechanics of the movement. So if I'm doing something in this case like that, this will really not go so well. It will even not go so well in solo practice because every time I'm breaking against the joint, do something like that with a lot of weight and a lot of momentum. So just get the sense that what you do is just carry the joke through. And that's true of all of these actually. This one, I also don't want to do that. Flick, flick. This is really not useful for the hands. There. There. So it's going to kind of flow through it. Just play with it. That's it. There we go. There we go. Again, you're looking for something really functional, very effective, and sustainable that it's not going to break the body as I do it. There we go. That's it. Very nice. So something much softer actually. The movement's really quite soft. And it's engaged from the core. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Great. Okay, we'll move on. We'll go straight into the 𝗧𝗵. So you've got two sets you can do from 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃, where we've got the classic movement coming like this. I'm going to do this one. If you can, you've got a high ceiling, go to the other stage. So you go to that point. I'm only going to go to this stage for today because I can't do it with the ceiling. So you've got from 𝗵𝗵𝗃, rolling, coming into the 𝗧𝗵 like this. Okay. You can play with this. You can do whatever you like with the footwork. Stepping in, rolling through, stepping back, doing it on the spot, doing it with a rotation, but just start from that position. So every time, just come into 𝗵𝗵𝗃, right side forward, and just go into that 𝗧𝗵. If you can, go to the full movement, but just that. If you can't, just go to that side one. That's it. Just explore it, different footwork. And just give yourself just that restriction, just starting with the right side. Just gives you a bit more opportunity to play with what's possible from that stance. And then we'll go to the next. Yeah. Okay, so there's two functions with the 𝗧𝗵. We tend to use it in a blocking pattern. So we tend to use it, this side of the 𝗄, I'm going to block with it. So it's used to cover the body, either for a 𝗬 or a 𝗃𝗄𝗆 coming this way. So we tend to use it if I'm going to go back with a protection movement. So it's got a function of blocking, and then I'm rolling to a position where I can come into another strike. So that's the kind of function in terms of the block. The other function you've got of the 𝗧𝗵 is using the backside of the 𝗄 to strike with it. So I'm going to strike onto either the temple or the forehead, cutting across the head like this, or I'm just going to do it to kind of press the 𝗄 out of the way. Boom. So it's got a kind of striking motion, and then coming up so that I can do something else with the 𝗄. So just know that you've got these two considerations. So whether I pull the body back or push it forward, you're going to be doing something different. So just think about how the bodywork is going to facilitate the action. So it's either a kind of striking movement or a blocking movement. The majority of the moves we use with the 𝗧𝗵 are a block first. So it's a receptive move, and then come to a position where I can do something next. That's it. And the mechanics of the movement are pretty similar. You're just doing, you've got a slightly different focus in terms of the mind. And very slight, there's a very, very slight difference. If I use the block, I'm going to use this part of the 𝗄. So I'm going to contact some part of this part. If I use as a strike, I'm going to use really, really, really the tip of the 𝗄. So that part of the 𝗄, that angle, this is a sharp object. So this is a very, very sharp object. I know because I've seen a few accidents with this. This can cut the body open if it goes at speed. especially a thin part of the head, like the forehead, as it slices across. So you've got a different aspect of the 𝗄. The ski work works there. The blocking work, the striking work tends to work this part. Some of the strikes with the 𝗄 will also use that fine edge of the 𝗄. We tend to round them off because it's a bit safe. If you have a very sharp 𝗄, like a flat plane, it's really quite dangerous. So know that that part of the 𝗄 is also can be used as a weapon or as a tool. So that's a really, really dangerous part of the 𝗄. And you won't feel anything. It will just slice across the head or slice across the temple, and you won't really feel it. It will just follow through with it. So very light contact, but pretty devastating. So we need to be really aware of that when we practice with other people as well, because very easy to injure another person with it. That's it. That's it. Good. And some of you have gone here already, so work also from the 𝗬𝗊𝗲. So you've got the left side 𝗬 rolling back and then coming into the 𝗧𝗊𝗲 this side. So it's the opposite side for the 𝗧𝗊𝗲. You're almost always going to work the 𝗄 this way in terms of our system, but there's nothing really to stop you coming into that side. It's not really so functional in terms of our system, but play with it if you like. Come into here and then rolling back up with it. And you can also, obviously, you can go to strike work, or you can go into the other 𝗧𝗊𝗲. Coming back. So just start to now blend in different 𝗧𝗊𝗲s, different transitions. Include also the striking work, ski work, 𝗿𝗵𝗿𝗄. Just include them all into it. And just think about maybe those moments in the katas when we do 𝗧𝗊𝗲 work, especially the 13, or in some of the kumijo work, kentai-jo, if you know any of those systems. There we go. And the 𝗧𝗊𝗲, again, really a beautiful movement for the body to do. So let the 𝗄 do a lot of the work. Really enjoy it with the body. There we go. Yeah, and also play with the 𝗬𝗵𝗴𝗵 that you've got from the 𝗧𝗊𝗲. So you've got 5 𝗬𝗵𝗴𝗵 coming from the 𝗧𝗊𝗲 position. Yeah, good. There we go. And once you feel kind of comfortable with it, go again to this idea of like striking objects with it. So move around the space, kind of make contact with things very lightly. And it can just be in your imagination as well. There's a wall in front of me. I'm not going to contact with it, but I'm going to have the feeling of connecting to it there and then through. There and through. And how would I transfer the weight through that strike, through that movement? Also play a little bit with the body, making it bigger, exaggerating a little bit. There's also some strange positions you can get to the 𝗧𝗊𝗲 from. So especially if you go from a 𝗿𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃, how do I find the 𝗧𝗊𝗲 from that position? So just play with it. Okay. Okay, so just play with one thing. You've got to strike, ski or whatever, and then you have to do a 𝗧𝗊𝗲 between it. So go like this. Every movement I make, I got to ski. Okay, now I have to find a 𝗧𝗊𝗲. I can do a strike from here. How do I find a 𝗧𝗊𝗲? I can do something from here. How do I find a 𝗧𝗊𝗲? How do I find a 𝗧𝗊𝗲? How do I find a 𝗧𝗊𝗲? So do it kind of intermittently. Sometimes do a strike, but see how could I find a 𝗧𝗊𝗲 from that position? And if I get stuck in one particular pattern, know that I'm getting stuck and try and break it. How do I get out of that pattern? 𝗧𝗊𝗲. You can also do like 2-3 strikes, and then you've got to go with the mind 𝗧𝗊𝗲. I make a 𝗧𝗊𝗲 now. 1 strike 𝗧𝗊𝗲, 2 strikes 𝗧𝗊𝗲, 3 strikes, and then a 𝗧𝗊𝗲. The aim of that 𝗧𝗊𝗲 is really to give you freedom. So if you look at the videos of 𝗺-sensei, you see he does that 𝗧𝗊𝗲 move all the time. It's like littered all into the movements, and he uses it for freedom. Like, vroom. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, great. Nice. Okay, so the last 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝘀 in the set that we've got, the cytocentric set, is the negare form. So you've got Migi negare 𝗍𝗍 and Hidari negare 𝗍𝗍. So they're like spinning, they're rotating to either side. They're primarily about negare work, which is about flowing work. So you can do if you know the forms, you go from here, back, one yokomen, rotate to the back, one yokomen here. Okay. So that's the first one is 19. So we'll just work with 19 just to make it clear. So you've got a really simple form. So you go back, strike yokomen, roll to the rear, and strike through with the final yokomen. So this is a rotating move to the rear. Hopefully you've all done it before. That's okay, great, got it. Good. That's it. Good. There we go. Nice. Okay, and then 20 goes like this. You start from 𝗬𝗍𝗵𝗶. This time you go left side yokomen, rotate to the back this way, and then you finish with the 𝗬𝗍. So you're in 𝗬𝗍𝗵𝗶. You go left side, yokomen uchi, rotate now, the back leg goes back. Find the protection, thrust through. So you've got gyakyu yokomen, rotation block, thrusting through. Very simple set. But actually that rotation is pretty complicated, so just have a look at that. You do it. Ah, yeah. Function. What's the function? Whoosh! Just watch when you make these rotations. It's very easy to leave the center of the body exposed. So just watch the function of both of these, play with them. You've got this rotation here, this one, and then you've got from this position, this rotation here. Okay. I really, even this is where play is also really important. And playing with sparring and things like this will really be helpful for us because I'm fundamentally always going to try and protect the spine and the center of the body and my internal organs. So if I'm doing something, in this case, Aikido people, we tend to be pretty open, and that's great for like blending where I need to be open, accepting all this stuff. But if I'm not actually fundamentally protecting the center of the body, all that's useless. Because if someone's going to attack me and they're going to attack me in the spine, and I've not protected the center, I can't do any kind of blending work. So it's not going to work. So when you do these kind of movements, think about the function of them. There's something coming towards the rear. It's either going to the spine or it's going to the back of the head. So I need to, when I rotate, have the feeling that that's actually protected. So if something's coming from the spine, I need to know that as I rotate through, I'm really protecting it. That's my main priority. Whether I blend with it is another consideration, but the first priority is protecting myself. Now, I do that by being open, expanded, all that kind of stuff, but the first consideration is how do I rotate and protect the body? Because that's the function of the block. Otherwise, it has no function. It's just twirling the stick, which looks nice, but really won't help us. So Just play a little bit with these blocks again, but know that what you're doing is protecting the body fundamentally. And you're protecting vital areas, the side of the head, the brain, the back of the spine, the kidneys, the heart. That's it. That's it. There we go. Whoosh. Oh. There we go. Okay, so just play within 19 and 20. And if you want, take these as guidelines, play with different things, but ideally go play with 1920 because you've got a lot of possibilities with it. And the idea with 19 and 20 is to go into fluid movements. So it's to go into a state where I can really start to blend those movements together later. It's going to be into 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀. I break my own rules, but just find that you can find those movements and just work within those forms. So you've got like 19, 20. Just work them a little bit more fluidly and at your own level, how you feel. If I can keep it all connected, make it flowing, just go with it. Just use 1920 as a kind of base to jump off. And if you want to go, if you find the body goes into 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀, just let it go. Goes into 𝗵𝗿𝗲, no problem, just follow it. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Whoosh. Okay, great. And the last minute, when you're kind of comfortable with that, just again, go to this idea of targeting. So you're going to really have it. You've got two considerations, something coming into the body that I need to protect myself from. And the second thing is striking out at something. So get the idea of working the space, there's things around you, and just get this idea that you're going to strike things as well. And then there's something else, rolling through, something else, something to the back. So Osenta had this one of his nice phrases where he said, always imagine yourself surrounded on the battlefield or surrounded by enemies. No, I think he just said on the battlefield. So he said, never forget this crucial element of training, because as soon as I forget that, I'm in Fantasyland and I'm outside the martial domain totally. So imagine yourself surrounded. Tom Cruise, Uma Thurman, whoever you want to be. Lots of things, lots of objects, things coming at you, lots of dangers, lots of threats. Work with it. And try and ground it in some kind of reality, which is about functionality. There we go. There we go. Great. Nice. Yeah, nice. Whoosh. Oh, yeah. Was. There we go. Nice. And the targeting is a really great thing to really consider what part of the 𝗄 I'm using to attack with. How am I channeling my energy through that part of the 𝗄? And it's always a specific part of the 𝗄. That's it. That's it. Just a couple more seconds. Whoosh. There we go. Great. Okay, good. We'll bow up. We'll take a quick break. So. Domo arigato.
Domo arigato.
Okay, take like a minute. We're going to go straight into taijutsu stuff. So keep